Okay, there's no doubt we're in the middle of an AI revolution, right? It's got the power to completely reshape our world. I mean, everything from medicine to climate science. But, with that incredible potential comes a whole new set of risks. So the big question is, how do we innovate responsibly? Well, today we're going to dive into the blueprint designed to do exactly that, the NIST AI Risk Management Framework.
And this quote, right from the framework itself, it just perfectly captures the whole challenge. I mean, it really is a double-edged sword. On one hand, you've got amazing transformation and growth, but on the other, the potential for some seriously negative impacts. The goal here isn't to stop AI in its tracks. It's all about steering it in the right direction.
All right, so here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll dig into why AI risk is such a unique beast. Then, we'll introduce the framework itself and a kind of checklist it uses to define what good AI even looks like. After that, we'll cover the 4 key actions for actually managing risk, and then we'll wrap up with why any of this really matters in the first place.
All right, Section 1, AI's Promise and Peril. We're going to talk about why managing AI just isn't like managing other software.
And this really is the fundamental question, isn't it? I mean, we've been managing software risk for decades. So what's the big deal with AI? Why do we suddenly need a whole new framework just for this?
Okay, so this is the key difference right here. With traditional software, things are usually deterministic. You put in X, you get out Y. It does what the code tells it to do. The risks? Usually bugs, maybe some security holes. But AI? That's a whole different ballgame. It's completely dependent on the data it's trained on. So if that data is biased or just plain old, the AI's performance can go off the rails in ways you'd never expect. We're talking about these massive, complex systems that can be total black boxes, making it super tough to guess how or when they might break.
So, given all those unique challenges, how do we even begin to tackle them? Well, that brings us to Section 2, a framework for trust, where we'll introduce the NIST AI RMF.
So here it is, the Artificial Intelligence Risk Management Framework, or AI RMF for short. Now, the most important thing to know right off the bat is that this is a voluntary resource. It's not a law, it's not a regulation. It's a guide, a helping hand for anyone out there designing, building, or using AI to help them manage all those risks and ultimately build systems we can actually trust.
And the whole philosophy behind this framework is built on some really smart ideas. Like we said, it's voluntary. It's also consensus-driven, meaning lots of different people from across the industry had a say. It's designed to be a living document. It has to be, right? It's got to evolve right alongside AI. It's also not for one specific industry, and it's not tied to any specific laws, which makes it super flexible. And maybe the most important part? It's outcome-focused, not prescriptive. It tells you what you need to achieve, but it doesn't dictate the exact tiny steps on how you get there. Okay, that leads us perfectly into our next section, the Trustworthy AI Checklist. I mean, we keep saying trustworthy AI, but what does that even look like in practice?
So the framework has this great way of thinking about it, kind of like building a house, right? You can't just start throwing up walls and putting on a roof. You've got to start with a solid, reliable foundation to build everything else on. And that foundation, that base layer, it's all about being valid and reliable. In plain English, that just means the AI system has to actually do what it's supposed to do, and it has to do it accurately and consistently, without falling apart when things get a little tough. This is the absolute starting point. It's non-negotiable.
Okay, so once that foundation is solid, you start stacking the other layers on top. And these are really just a series of critical questions, like, is the system fair? Or is it biased? Is it privacy enhanced so it's not leaking sensitive info? Is it explainable? Like, can we even understand why it's making the decisions it's making? And of course, is it secure and resilient? And the big one, is it safe? Meaning it's not going to put people, property, or the environment in danger.
And then there's this last piece, but it's not really a layer. It's more like something that cuts across everything else. Accountability and transparency. This has to be woven through the entire structure. It's about knowing who is responsible when things go wrong and having clear, honest information about how the system actually works.
Okay, so we've got the what a trustworthy AI system should look like, but what about the how? How do organizations actually make this happen? Well, that brings us to the action plan, the 4 core functions.
The framework boils the process down to 4 key functions: govern, map, measure, and manage. Now, it helps to think of govern as the big picture strategy that kind of surrounds everything else. Then you have map, measure, and manage,
which are the more hands-on, step-by-step actions you take for every single AI system.
So let's break that down a bit more. Govern is all about creating a culture of risk management across the entire organization. It's the foundation. Map is where you sit down and identify all the potential risks for a specific AI system. You're literally mapping out the territory. Measure is where you get into the data, you analyze, you assess, you monitor those risks you just found. And finally, manage, well, that's the action plan. That's where you actually do something about the risks you've mapped and measured.
All right, we're at our final section, and honestly, it's the most important one. Why this framework matters. What's the payoff here for business and for society as a whole?
So let's just ask the bottom line question, right? For any company or group that actually puts in the time and effort to use this framework, what's in it for them? What do they get out of it?
Well, the benefits are huge, and they go way beyond just, avoiding problems. This is really about building a smarter, more responsible organization from the inside out. You end up with better processes for managing AI risk. You build a better company culture that actually prioritizes this stuff. Your teams get crystal clear guidance on those really tough go or no-go decisions for deployment. And maybe most importantly, you build real, lasting trust with the people, the users and communities who are actually impacted by your tech.
So, at the end of the day, this framework isn't about slowing down innovation or putting the brakes on AI. Not at all. It's about giving everyone a shared blueprint for responsible innovation. It's a roadmap for balancing those incredible benefits with smart, thoughtful risk management.
And that really leaves us with a final big question to think about. We all know AI is evolving at a dizzying pace. So, is a voluntary blueprint like this? Is it enough to make sure that evolution happens responsibly? It's no doubt a powerful tool, but its success? That really comes down to whether organizations and people actually choose to pick it up and use it.